Hey everyone, and welcome to my YouTube channel. I am super excited that you are here. As always, I am here to help you overcome your obstacles, create healthy habits, and grow to accomplish your goals and build the life you've been dreaming of. And today we're going to talk about one of the biggest obstacles of all. So I hope you're comfortable. I hope you grabbed your tea or your coffee and you are ready to dig into it. And by the way, don't forget to subscribe because I am always here offering you real life tips that are sustainable and that work. Today, we're going to be talking about how people get under your skin and what you can do about it. I have a whole series that I'm working through right now that is very much related to emotional triggers, emotional regulation, and relationships. This is particularly important as a topic to me because as I approach the holidays, I find that peopling is incredibly exhausting. In my real life, I'm a little bit introverted, but also I have always felt like the black sheep of my family. I have always been called highly sensitive. I have always struggled to navigate some of those relationships. And it took me a really long time to kind of come up with some hacks or some tips to navigate that and to really figure out what was going on for me. And I think a lot of these tips will really help you as well, whether it's a coworker who you're struggling with, or maybe you're a mom and it is your kids, or you feel like you're being criticized a lot as a mom, or it is your family of origin or your partner. I think a lot of these tips will really help you reframe what is happening for you and what's going on internally for you so that you can better navigate this situation, maybe create some boundaries, both for yourself and for the people in your life. So, let's get right into it. Why do people get under your skin, or how do they get under your skin? And a lot of times, people get under our skin because they hit our buttons. Okay. Whether they know what those buttons are or not, they're hitting them. All right. And what do I mean by our buttons? I mean the tender spots, the places where we're feeling a little insecure, the places where we are doubting ourselves or challenged a lot. Generally speaking, people can't get under our skin if they are giving us feedback about something we don't already believe, we don't already have sensitivity around, we don't already feel protective about, right? When somebody says something that makes us feel like, wow, what are you trying to say here? Are you trying to say that you think I'm a bad mom, or that you think, okay, what's going on there is in our mind, we are feeling overwhelmed either with messaging that we're not a great mom. Maybe we're parenting in a non traditional way, or we're breaking generational curses in our family. We're doing it different. And so we are experiencing a little bit of change anxiety, a little bit of nervousness about this new approach. Or we actually struggle with self doubt or self condemnation in that area, right? When somebody says something to you that completely does not relate, does not resonate with you, does not in any way, shape, or form touch something in you that's already existing, it doesn't matter. Okay. And I always love the example that's given where, for example, if somebody came to me and said, I really hate your pink hair. I really think pink hair is ridiculous. Nobody should have pink hair. Obviously, I wouldn't take that personally. I wouldn't feel like that's a jab. I would not, I might be concerned about their eyesight or their stability, but I would not think that they were coming at me personally, right? I wouldn't think that at all because I already know my hair is not pink. Okay. Now, I might be like, wow, we really shouldn't judge people. Okay. I might be like, it's not cool to do that. And it might bother me from the perspective of if this person is this judgmental of other people, they're probably being judgmental of me too. Or I just personally don't care for bigotry, right? But it's not actually getting under my skin from the perspective that it's creating emotional reaction where I feel triggered or upset or hurt or offended. I'm just kind of like, yeah, you're probably not my cup of tea. Just putting that out there. Okay. Um, that's it. You're not my cup of tea, right? If you think that all people with pink hair are reckless and irresponsible and blah, 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 or whatever you think, okay, you're probably just not my cup of tea. We're probably not going to be friends. We're probably not going to have much of a relationship. For those of you watching this, that's just real. I'm not a person who judges people by their cover. So, I don't have a lot in common with people who do. That's that. And stepping into a space of being able to say, yo, that's really not okay. Okay. Is a lot different than feeling like, wow, I'm being attacked. So when I say people getting under your skin, what I mean is that they're pushing your personal buttons. They're hurting you. They're making you angry. They're causing a deep emotional reaction in you, right? Now, we should probably consider doing another video, and you can tell me if you want it below, about people getting under your skin because they're saying things that are absolutely in contrast to your principle or your beliefs, or they're doing or saying things that like that is really wrong, right? And then you feel like you're trying to figure out, how do I address that, right? How do I create boundaries around you talking to me about something that I feel very passionately about and find very problematic? Because y'all, that also is a thing that happens in my family. And sometimes you can't go no contact with everybody who does that. But you also need to not just stand there quietly and allow this to continue. So, if you want a video about how to navigate that particular situation, you just tell me in the comments and I will absolutely create that for you, because unfortunately, some of us are pretty exposed to it and pretty commonly have to deal with that. But I digress. When it's something that is hitting your tender spot, what happens is, so I find myself being relatively sensitive to feedback that is not positive. My love language is words of affirmation, so I'm a little bit more tender to what people say. Okay. But also, I grew up in an environment where I felt very parentified and very responsible for everyone else's feelings, emotions, and responses, where I felt very much like my being pleasing was directly tied to my ability to survive, right? To people taking care of me. Like if I was too difficult, maybe the people in my life wouldn't care for me in basic human ways. And so because of that, I tend to be very, very sensitive to people saying, you have displeased me, even when they're doing it nicely. Okay. Even when they're being really kind about it, it can be very hard for me. This was really hard for me. As a mom, it was hard for me as a working woman. This has been something that I have struggled with, where I try and I know that I can grow from this feedback, but I also feel really impacted by it, right? And I'm just standing there trying not to cry. And one of my clients actually just messaged me about this and said, what do you do when that's your response? And what I pointed out to her is, there are actually two reasons why somebody is poking at you. Okay. Two reasons why someone's hitting that button. Okay. One is that they genuinely are giving you feedback that you need. All right. They genuinely are giving you feedback. Your partner is giving you feedback about what they need in the relationship or in the home. Your supervisor is giving you feedback about things that maybe need to be adjusted at work. Maybe your mentor is giving you feedback, right? And it's hitting the tender spot. It's hitting that spot because you care about this. It's hitting that spot because you feel like you're letting somebody down, etc. And really being able to reframe in this space of, I actually am not perfect, and that is okay. I am a work in progress. This is an opportunity for me to learn, for me to grow. One of the things that helps me a lot in this space is, now, y'all, listen, I'm betting that those of you who really struggle with this also struggle to give this kind of feedback, right? You are very hesitant to say, yeah, I don't like that, to your partner. You're very hesitant to correct someone who works with you. You're very hesitant to give that kind of feedback because you feel tender about that as well, right? And so remembering, for me, really remembering that the person who's giving me the feedback is giving it to me because they care about me. They believe in me. They want me to grow. They are willing to put themselves out there. They're willing to be vulnerable in this moment and put themselves out there, knowing that I might react really badly, right? Probably they've had an experience where someone has reacted really badly, and yet they're still doing it. And that's because they believe in me. That's because they care about my progress. They care about my future. They care about the future of our relationship. And when I can reframe it like that, right, it helps me a lot to receive that in a loving way. I put that through a loving filter in my own brain. Okay. I control my thoughts in that way. And when I control my thoughts in that way, I am better able to manage my feelings in that moment. And I am also better able to behave in a way that I will later feel more comfortable with or even proud of. Right. So when someone is giving me feedback, I think to myself the whole time they're talking, by the way, I can't hold two thoughts at once. I'm thinking to myself as they're saying this because they care about me. They're saying this because they believe in me. They're saying this because they want to see the best in me. They want to help me grow. They genuinely care about being in relationship with me. They genuinely care about my success. And when I can remind myself of that, I can reset. And I can keep those comments from really getting under my skin and really impacting me emotionally, right? Then the second thing is when someone's just poking. Okay, I'm sure I'm not the only person in the world who has family members in particular, because let's face it, when they're friends, what you generally do is you stop being friends with people who say things to you that feel really unkind, really triggering, and that seem to be not very well intended, right? They're not saying this because they want you to succeed. Okay. When I'm criticized about my parenting style, for example, or my step parenting style by people in my family, it's not because they want me to be more successful. When I'm criticized about my step parenting style by women in my community, it's not because they want me to be more successful. It's because they're uncomfortable with my role with my stepchildren, and they personally feel threatened by that because they would not want a stepmom doing that. Now, my situation is different than other stepmother situations. Perhaps I should do a video about this sometime. Most stepmoms don't do the things I do and honestly should not do the things I do. But in my situation, it's a little bit different. And if people don't like that, honestly, it's not my problem. Okay. And really being able to come to a space where you say, you don't have to understand. My life is actually my life, and my personal choices are not a democracy. Okay. They are not. There is no voting. Okay. On how I manage my life. I don't allow other people outside of my home to vote on whether or not I show up as a Girl Scout leader for one of my stepdaughter's Girl Scout troops. Do not allow it. By the way, I don't care who you are. I got a phone call from a woman who was actually a psychologist who told me I was extremely damaging my stepchildren by doing this. And I was like, you don't know my family situation. You don't know why I'm doing this. That's not a fair thing to say. Now, in years past, I would be devastated by that phone call. Literally devastated by that phone call. I would be filled with self-doubt. I would be so hurt by it. I would be like, I can't believe people are thinking this and people feel this way. This wasn't actually about me. Okay. This wasn't about me. And I will say, now I'm going to give y'all like a bit of a juicy piece of gossip. The people who have been most offended and uncomfortable with the kind of step parent I have are the people with the rockiest marriages who feel most unsure about their own mothering. And so they have a lot of fear that another woman could take their place. No one can take mom's place. Just putting that out there. No one can take mom's place. But sometimes moms relinquish that place. And then things happen that are a little different. You don't have to understand it, right? When someone's getting under your skin because they're criticizing you, they're poking at you, they're making comments about your life, they are telling you things that you are like, whoa, not cool. Okay. I want you to know that that's coming from inside of them. They are projecting onto you their own insecurities, their own fears, their own self doubt. Okay. I am very convinced, right, that I am blank, whatever that is. If you are convinced that you are blank, no one's going to move you from that, right? But you also don't feel like you have to criticize other people about the way that they do their lives. You don't, because you feel secure with the way you do your life. So you don't feel threatened by the way they do theirs. You don't feel like it is attacking what you feel is right or best. You know, I'm doing it my way, you're doing it your way. I feel comfortable with the way I'm doing it, right? I have 5 children that I have raised. 2 of my children have special needs. One of my children has autism, okay? Lots and lots of people like to criticize the way that I parent the 5 children that I have raised. Lots of people like to criticize the way that I parent my stepchild children, the way that I parent my children with autism, the way that I parent all of my children now that they're adults. A lot of people like to criticize that. I parent in the way that I feel is best for my family and my children. You can do it entirely differently. I got nothing to say about it. Really, unless you're hurting your kids, I have nothing to say about it, right? But when people feel threatened or uncomfortable with the way that they parent, they tend to come pretty hard. That's the reality. So when that happens, I remind myself, I'm like, wow, it's kind of a bummer that you feel so insecure about your parenting that you feel like you need to pick apart mine. If you didn't feel so threatened by the way I parent, you wouldn't care about it, right? You would not care about it. See, when we're busy taking care of our own business, taking care of our own lives, running our own lives, managing our own mindset, we don't actually have the time or energy or interest to criticize other people about how they're doing it. We're just not that concerned about it, right? We don't need to gossip about other people. We don't need to poke at other people. And really being able to reframe when people get under my skin, when people start to get under my skin, being able to think, what is going on? What is their motivation? Why are they doing this right now? Has really helped me to understand and recognize, here's the magic part. It's not about me at all. It's not about me at all. And because it's not about me at all, I don't have to pick it up. I don't have to receive it. I can be like, oh, yeah, that's not mine. That's not my bad mothering. That's you feeling like you're a bad mom. It's not about me. Okay. That's not my not clean enough house. That's about you feeling like your value is in your house cleaning skills. That has nothing to do with me, right? That's about you. You are trying to justify that you are worthy and enough by judging me based on some standard you have created. I'm worthy and enough over here doing my thing, right? And when we can reframe this and recognize it is not about me, we tighten up and people can't really get under your skin anymore. Now, does it ever happen? Do I ever get caught off guard? Am I ever like, that stung? Yes. Oh, yeah. Now I have people in my circle who know that the outright jab doesn't get in there, right? And they'll come at it a little more subtly. I got a text message a couple years back that said, we just parent our children differently. And I don't think this is right. And I was like, oh, that's cute. Right. Yes, we do parent our children differently. We parent our children differently because I have a blended family and I have children with special needs. That's why we parent our children differently. And your inability to recognize that, or your feeling that you would not be able to navigate that, or that our parenting styles are different, um, really isn't my problem. I don't have to explain to you why our parenting styles are different. We've been parenting side by side my whole life, so you should know why. And then you should make space for that. And if you can't make space for that, that's not my problem. That's not my problem. I'm still going to do what I'm going to do. Okay. It's not my problem. Now, does that mean you don't take anything that someone says and go, maybe I do need to make an adjustment? No, not at all. You can always do that later. In that moment, rather than crying, rather than having an argument, rather than blowing up, rather than losing your marbles, your crap, right? Your ish, you can actually excuse yourself from the conversation. You can reframe that in the moment. You can just say, that's interesting. One of my favorite responses is, that's interesting. What I mean by that is it's interesting how you are projecting your stuff onto me. But what other people generally hear is that's interesting feedback, and I may actually be swayed by your opinion of me. That is not what I'm saying. And then I take a little step away. Okay. And then maybe I'll say, do they have a point here? Is there anything here that might be a takeaway where I have some room to grow in this space? Right? Is there? Sure, there might be. There might be. And that's okay too. It's okay to look at it and say, I wonder where I can grow here. It's okay to look at it later and say, I was really upset by that, or I was really bothered by that. What is that hitting? What insecurity or negative self talk or self doubt do I have that maybe I need to work on? Right? So that you can actually use it as a space for improvement. But in the moment, it's best to be non-reactionary. And as I told my client, if all else fails, look up and to the left. Can't cry when you're looking up and to the left, right? If you're about to cry, you just go, and then it will keep the tears from coming. I'm not kidding, and it does help. Always, you can excuse yourself by saying, I'm not feeling well. No one wants to be around a person who is feeling suddenly queasy, so that you can walk away. Find exit strategies to get out of those conversations when you're feeling like someone's really getting under your skin. You don't have to stay in conversations where you feel unsafe or uncomfortable. Understanding your triggers, understanding what's going to potentially cause issues, understanding what might create spots for you to be really a target is helpful when you're going into high stress peopling situations, like the holidays. So I'm going to be talking about this a lot more. Again, don't forget to subscribe so that you don't miss a single thing. Remember that you are amazing and you deserve to live the life you've been dreaming of. All right. See you next time. Bye, everyone.